Hello, people. How are we doing? Sorry, I can't be bothered to get the mic stand out, so we're doing it like this today. I am a karaoke singer. Yes, it was the Champions League draw today. Turn the light on. It was the Champions League draw today. How are you all feeling about it, Arsenal fans in particular? That question was aimed at you, but if we've got neutrals in the chat, then how are we feeling about it? I think we'll talk about my opinion in a minute, but yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. Friday Night Gunners for you. Hello, young gunner Logan. I assume that's you. Big up, Logan. Thanks for coming on the chat. But yeah, as I said, I hope everyone's doing all right. Obviously, Champions League draw came out today, which we're going to be talking about in a minute. What else has happened today? Bruno Mars dropped his new album. Yeah, that's a pretty good album. Go and give it a listen if you haven't. Some good songs on there. Great album. You're welcome, Bruno. Bit of promotion there for your album. Best possible draw we could have got. Yeah, I think that we'll start talking about it now. We might as well. I think the Champions League draw has given Arsenal fans a lot of confidence. If they didn't already have enough confidence, I think it's given Arsenal fans even more confidence now. Let me just change the setup so it's a little bit easier. Yeah, that'll do. So this is the draw. I do assume that you've seen it all by now, but if you haven't, here it is. That's a bit of interesting news that's just popped up on my phone. We can talk about that later. So PSG are playing Chelsea over 2 legs. Galatasaray have got Liverpool. Real Madrid and Manchester City face off for what, 6th or 7th year running? Oh god, no, 6, 7 intended. Atalanta have got Bayern Munich, which Atalanta are the team which Arsenal avoided. Newcastle have got Barcelona. What a tie. That's going to be amazing. Atletico Madrid have got Tottenham. Bodo Glimt have got Sporting. And Bayer Leverkusen have got the mighty Arsenal. Obviously, they're finishing top of the league phase. All of Arsenal's second leg fixtures will be at home, meaning all the first leg ones will be away. Yeah, so for me, right, this draw here has given Arsenal fans even more confidence that they already had. It's made us more enthusiastic on winning a quadruple. Because look, if we're playing at our best in the Premier League, then I think we're in a good position to win that. Although it's still possible for Manchester City to catch up. Carabao Cup, we're 1 win away from winning a trophy, which is massive for the football club, for Arteta, for the players, for the fans. Winning the trophy would be massive. And then in the FA Cup, we've got Mansfield, so we should be beating Mansfield. If we don't beat Mansfield, then there's clearly a problem somewhere. And then in the Champions League, we've been given this draw, which I think I don't want to discredit any team that's made it this far into the Champions League, because you're clearly quite a good team if you've made it this far. You know, the Champions League starts with 34, 36 clubs. So to make it to the last 16 is a huge achievement for anyone. So congratulations to all the clubs that have made it other than Tottenham. I have got a little bit of notes that I've made for each game, which I'm just getting up now. They're all in the description as well, but I'm going to read them out. The Champions League draw has landed. It is absolute chaos. And I'm going to chat to you. I'm going to break down each tie, break down some key storylines, and call it exactly how it is. That's right, people. We are going to be predicting the Champions League at the end of the stream. Who's going to win it? Who's going to make the final? You will see, people. You will see. I just zoned out for a second there. Final, we will be the home team as well if we make it, as in we get to wear the home kit and get the home changing rooms. Yeah, see, look, that's huge. That's huge. We will be playing in red and white if we make the final. That's huge. And you'll see why that's huge in my predictions a little bit later on. Except Spurs. Yeah, that's what I mean. Congratulations to all the teams that have made it through so far, other than Spurs, Chelsea, and Liverpool, I guess. But everyone else, Bodo Glimt, they're going on an unbelievable run. Bayer Leverkusen lost their manager, lost a few key players to Liverpool in particular. They made it this far through. Galatasaray have done well, absolutely dominated Juventus, even though they nearly made the comeback. I think fair play to Atletico Madrid. I'm guessing they didn't make the top 8. I can't remember off the top of my head, to be honest with you. However, I do remember them getting battered by Arsenal 4-0. So fair play to Atletico Madrid to making it to this stage. Bayern Munich are unbelievable. Arsenal are unbelievable. Real Madrid are decent. Barcelona are good. Newcastle, they've got Anthony Gordon, who is just a different animal in the Champions League this season, which is going to be something that we talk about later on. So the ties that we're going to be focusing on in particular are, if I can get my pen up, it's going green so it stands out. We're going to look over this tie here. We're going to look at this tie here. We're going to look at this tie here. This tie here. These are the ones that I'm going to focus on. These are the ones that I've done a little bit of note taking on, because they're the ones that excite me the most, and I think will excite the neutral the most. I mean, you could chuck Bodo Glimt Sporting in there because Bodo Glimt are on an unbelievable run, but maybe that's for another day. I'm not going to bother with Galatasaray Liverpool because it's quite a boring one and no one cares. Either way, I think. Well, I'm not going to spoil it because we're going to do predictions later on, but it's quite a boring one. Hopefully Galatasaray win though. And then we've got Atalanta Bayern Munich, which, yeah, I think that's going to be a breeze in the park for Bayern Munich. I'm going to be totally honest with you. Harry Kane, Michael Olise. I'm guessing Jamal Musiala's back. I know he's been injured, but I'm guessing he's back. I haven't really heard much of him, so we'll see. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. So yeah, let's get chatting. We're going to start with PSG Chelsea, obviously. Look, I think the key players to look out for PSG here will be Desiree Doué, one of the best young players in Europe right now. I think we can all agree on that. And let's be real, Chelsea right now, they don't have a headline star. No, I'm joking. Although, look, let's be real, PSG, they're definitely the favourites going into this tie. Yeah, so if I just go on full screen for a minute. Oh wow. So on the Opta analysis thingy, that platform, there is actually a 53% chance for Chelsea to go through. So they reckon Chelsea will do it. On the chance of progression. I have got the Opta analysis stats up here. Fair play. They actually reckon Chelsea will do it. That's mental. That is mental. What is going on here? Sorry, I'm getting distracted, people. So yeah, that fair play to Chelsea. A 53% chance of winning against PSG, they reckon. I guess key players to look out for in this tie would be Ousmane Dembele because he's the Ballon d'Or winner. As I said, Desiree Doué is one of the best teenagers in Europe right now. As for Chelsea, Cole Palmer if he's available, although he's had quite an injury hit season. Moise Caicedo if he's not suspended because he's had a couple of suspensions. I think Chelsea's defense will play a key role in this. You know, if they want any chance of getting through, then I think players like Robert Sanchez will have to perform. Wesley Fofana will have to perform. Reece James, the captain, will have to show leadership. Marc Cucurella. So, look, PSG have got a deadly, deadly attack. They proved it last season when they won this competition. So, look, if Opta analysis think that Chelsea have got the better chance of going through here, then look, fair enough. But look, I only see this going one way, people. That's all I'm gonna say. Good luck to Chelsea, though. Good luck to Chelsea. But I do think PSG will probably do it, just with the exceptional attacking talent that they've got. Liam Rosinha has a good record versus Enrique back when he was in Ligue 1. Fair enough. Fair enough. However, what I will say is this is a completely different competition. Liam Rosinha is in charge of a completely different team. If anything, you know, he was managing Chelsea B before because, you know, they send all the players to Strasbourg. However, look, Chelsea do something, fair play. But, yeah, what more about fair play? I don't like Chelsea. Wouldn't surprise me, to be fair. I think Chelsea will go through. Fair enough. What's the next game we're going to talk about? Real Madrid, Manchester City. Oh, the amount of people that call this an entertaining tie. Look, whenever Real Madrid, Manchester City comes up, it's always, you know, it's not boring. I'll say that. But it happens every year now. It's getting a bit boring, isn't it? It is getting a bit boring. I'm gonna try and make my face bigger. There we go. Save. There we go. How's that, people? Yeah, it is getting a little bit boring now. It happens every year, and Real Madrid proceed every year. So, yeah, let's check Opta analysis. What do they think for this one? Oh wow, I'm wrong again. They think there's a higher chance of Manchester City progressing. 65% to Manchester City, that says. A heavyweight clash. Manchester City are powered by Erling Haaland, of course. Whose Champions League goal scoring record, just goal scoring record in particular, is absurd. However, standout players for Real Madrid, who are obviously in Manchester City's way. That list is obviously led by Kylian Mbappe, who is a top scorer in the Champions League this season. So it's the battle of elite strikers. Who will perform on the day? Last season it was Last season it was Kylian Mbappe, who scored lots of goals across the two legs. What will happen this time? No. What will happen this time? We will have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see for my predictions later on. Next game, Newcastle, Barcelona. 55% chance Barcelona. Opta analysis predicts. And I agree. I think Barcelona probably head into the tie as the favourites. However, what you can't do is write off Newcastle, and here's why. Because despite their poor league form, Newcastle, although they were the only English team not to play in the playoffs for the Champions League, they have been brilliant, and that has mostly been led by Anthony Gordon, who, although people want to call him poor and overrated and call him names and stuff like that, I actually think in the Champions League he's been quite good. Scored 10 goals so far this season in the Champions League, scored 4 goals in the last round against Karabag. And yeah, I think he's one of the standout forwards in the Champions League so far this season. As I mentioned, Kylian Mbappe is the top goal scorer this season in the Champions League. And Kylian Mbappe is the only player to have scored more goals than Anthony Gordon this season in the Champions League. So, look, for me, I don't think you can write Newcastle off because Anthony Gordon has been brilliant so far this season in the competition. And yeah, as for Barcelona, they got Marcus Rashford playing in that sort of left wing position. So it's the English talent versus the English talent. Maybe a fight for who starts at the World Cup. But yeah, it's not just Marcus Rashford for Barcelona though. Obviously, they've got such an incredible academy system, and Lamine Yamal, 18 years of age, has just finished second in the Ballon d'Or rankings. So look, yeah, I don't think you can write Newcastle off. I don't think you can write Newcastle off, but I do think that Barcelona come into this tie as favourites. Obviously, they've got Joan Garcia in goal. Arsenal were looking at him in the summer, decided to go for Kepa instead, and obviously Garcia has been incredible this season for Barcelona, from what I've heard. They've got Jules Koundé at right back, who on his day is very solid. They've got Balde at left back, who gets talked about as one of the best in the world. They've got an incredible squad. They've got great depth in midfield. And obviously they've got great forwards as well. They've got Lewandowski, who's a goal getter. They've got Lamine Yamal. They've got Rafinha. They've got Rashford. So yeah, you definitely can't. Yeah, got Ferran Torres as well, who's obviously been performing on the big stage this season. So look, you can't write Newcastle off. But I agree with Opta, and I think Barcelona are definitely the favourites. Who will go through though? Find out later. Um, Next up, we have got Atletico Madrid versus Tottenham, and yeah, less said about this one, the better for Tottenham. Obviously, Atletico Madrid go into this as favourites because Tottenham have just been so poor this season. I mean, I wrote in my notes, let's be honest, this one looks over before it even starts. Atletico Madrid have a leaked European experience and serious attacking threats in Julián Álvarez and new January recruit Ademola Lookman. Tottenham Hotspur, they're nothing to fear, let's be honest. No standout players, no European pedigree. Well, I lie. No Champions League pedigree. No Champions League pedigree. And obviously, no, the main thing, no reason to believe they can compete at this level. They won the Champions League championship last season. And look, as I said, you can't write any team that makes it this far into the Champions League. However, Tottenham are going to get relegated. So it's not really a contest. Atletico Madrid, yeah, they're favourites. Of course they are. You can't get relegated and win the Champions League, lads. Yeah. And even if you do make it far, you will have to play Arsenal in the semi-finals. And we all know how that's gone this season. So yeah, Tottenham, nothing to worry about. They're a championship team now at this point. You know, you can buy Tottenham tickets now on general sale, which is just absolutely embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. Their fans are a joke. They're not selling out stadiums. Not even all the members want to go to Tottenham now. They're an absolute joke. Let's have a look. Oh, but they're European champions. Yeah, they won the Champions League championship. Do you reckon if Spurs win the championship, they'll sing Champions of England? Spurs fans are shameless, mate. Like, let's be real. Let's be real. Tottenham fans are a disgrace. They can't even sell out their stadium now. Oh, but we've got one of the best atmospheres in the league. No, mate. We saw in the North London derby, yeah, that stadium is full of tourists. It's full of tourists, right? Arsenal actually sell out their games through the members. Yeah, not through tourists. We sell the tickets to fans. They sell them to tourists. Yeah, that's why everyone was filming the Arsenal fans' reactions to the goals. I hope you lot have seen that clip, right? Of all the Tottenham fans with their phones out filming Arsenal fans. Absolutely embarrassing. They can't even sell tickets to their own fans. It's full of tourists, that stadium. That's why people discredit the North London derby so much. Not when it's played at the Emirates in front of proper fans. That's all I'm going to say, people. That's all I'm going to say. Seb Martin saying Romero would start for every team. How's that going for him? Well, he's not the only one, is he? Jamie O'Hara. Ripping into Arsenal all season. Well, that's looking good on you, isn't it, Jamie? Yeah. Got released because we had Cesc Fabregas, who was levels above you. And now he's still trying to get over it. Jamie O'Hara for you in a nutshell, people. Oh, one of the biggest wafflers in the world. But finally, Bayer Leverkusen against the mighty Arsenal. Saving the best till last, people. And yes, this here. Yep. Liverpool not far off, to be fair. Arsenal are the favourites to go through in this round. 85% chance to 15 for Bayer Leverkusen. So yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. Really, Arsenal are by far the favourites going into the tie. And a key storyline for this tie: Kai Havertz against his former club. Could he cause some damage? Piero Hincapié is eligible to play. He will be playing in this tie if he's available. So could he imagine Hincapié scores at Bayer Leverkusen's ground? That would be hilarious. However, as I said, let's not completely rule these lot out. And I think they will be led by Patrik Schick, who has obviously scored 4 Champions League goals already this season, and is probably the most dangerous player in front of goal. When Xabi Alonso was there in 23-24, when they went invincible, Patrik Schick was used more as an impact sub, I think. I think it was used more as an impact sub. And obviously, he scored very important goals to pick up results, such as draws and wins, to win the league. Invincible. You know, injury time was a huge asset to that invincible season for Bayer Leverkusen, stopping Bayern Munich from winning the title. So yeah, look, as I said, let's not rule anyone out, but I think Arsenal are going through. Let's just be honest. And as for Arsenal, I actually think we've got the easier side of the draw. If you look, we've managed to avoid Manchester City, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG. We won't have to play any of the big lot until the final. I'm not ruling out Barcelona, of course. I think Barcelona are a very good team, as I mentioned. I think they've got some world-class players. I think Atletico Madrid are a good side, but they're not better than good. I think we're better than good. I think we're in the mix of good and elite, but obviously we need to win something first to be elite. We need to win multiple titles to be elite this season. If we win a double, let's say, does that make us elite? I think it does. So yeah, let's go on with the predictions. Right, so let's go on with the predictions. Let me just hide my screen for a minute. So I'm just going to do some color coordination. Give me a second, people. I should have come prepared to the stream. Green means home victory. And then black means away victory. I spelled victory wrong there. So let's get back into the slideshow. So green. So the home teams, PSG, Galatasaray, Real Madrid. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Atalanta, Newcastle, Atletico Madrid, Bodo Glimt, Bayer Leverkusen. Then the away teams are in black, so that will be Chelsea, Liverpool, City, Bayern, Barcelona, Tottenham, Sporting, and Arsenal. Unfortunately, I think this is going to be the easiest way to do it, people, because I can't find a predictor online, which is just stupid, but it is what it is. It is what it is. You know how the catchphrase goes. So, first game is PSG up against Chelsea. Who goes through, people? Who goes through? Are we all agreeing that PSG are going through? No, we're not. It wouldn't surprise me if Chelsea go through, Logan says. Well, Logan, unfortunately, I disagree with you. I don't disagree with much with Logan. However, last season, he proved us all wrong. I remember on a stream, on a podcast, he said, PSG will give us a tough game. Aston Villa will be better. We all sat there and counter-argued. Arteta's record against Unai Emery is quite poor. Maybe PSG, we can get the better of them. He proved us wrong there, mate. So fair play to Logan. He knows what he's talking about with the Champions League. However, I disagree with you on this one. I think PSG are going through. And I actually think they'll go through by a few goals. At least 2, maybe 3. I don't think Chelsea are a bad side, but I think they're still, in another rebuild, in another process with another project manager. Their third project manager in 3 years. So, yeah. They're a bit of a laughing stock at the minute, if you call me. And they're in a lot of debt. Galatasaray, Liverpool. Opta predicts 82% chance that Liverpool go through. And I'll tell you what, people. I'm going against that. I think Galatasaray will beat Liverpool. And I'll tell you why. We all saw what they did. I'm gonna erase this, people, because it looks a bit of a mess. It looks a bit weird. So, PSG are beating Chelsea. And Galatasaray are beating Liverpool. As I said, green is the home team. Away is the black. Do you think they win home and away? What, PSG? Possibly. First legs at the Parc de France, innit? So I reckon they could win that. I reckon they could win that 2-1 and then maybe win at Stamford Bridge 1-0. Wouldn't surprise me. It could be a very similar story to the Carabao Cup semi-finals when they played us. But yeah, I think PSG are going to go through. And I think Galatasaray are going to beat Liverpool. We saw what they did against Juventus. I think they're going to do the same to Liverpool. First legs at home. Have they already played this season? Galatasaray Liverpool played in the league phase. Have they played in the league phase? They definitely played English opposition. I think they've played English opposition a few times. Yes, they did. Victor Osimhen was the difference between the two sides. 1-0 win. So, yeah, they did. I'll just fact check that. So, look, it's very interesting, actually. And yeah, I think they're going to do it again, people. I think first leg, I think they need a comfortable victory to go to Anfield, free of nerves. I think football players will get nervous for every match, but to feel a little bit more comfortable, feel a bit more comfort, they need to win at home in front of their home fans in the first leg by 2-3-0, which, look, they won by a comfortable margin against Juventus, as I said. So I'm not going to rule them out, people. I'm not going to rule them out. So that there would make PSG versus Galatasaray, and Galatasaray are now the black team because they are away in the first leg. Real Madrid, Manchester City. Now, this is a flip of a coin. I'm going to be honest with you. This here is a flip of a coin. I think this is huge for Man City season. I think it's huge for Real Madrid season. Obviously, Real Madrid are already on their second manager this season. How's the title race going for them? They're currently second, a point off Barcelona. I'm guessing there's still an El Clasico this season. Could be wrong. But this is huge for both clubs. And as I said, it's Mbappe versus Haaland once again. I'd like City to go through because it could impact their season in the Prem. Yeah, I mean, it would add to their fixtures. It would be fixture congestion, which could affect them. I don't think their squad's as good as it has been in recent years, so this could be a huge test for them, Manchester City. But it's the flip of a coin. I'm going to be honest with you, people. I don't think Real Madrid are comfortable going into this game. I don't think Manchester City are comfortable going into this tie. I think I'm going to give it to. I'm going to give it to Real Madrid, and I'll tell you why. Home advantage. I reckon in the first leg, I reckon that will give them the boost and the confidence. Playing in front of the Bernabeu, playing to that Bernabeu crowd. I think they're going to beat City in that first leg, and I don't think they'll lose to City in the second one. I mean, look at last season when these two teams played. City won. No, Real Madrid even. They won both the legs, didn't they? And then obviously they played us. However, Manchester City have already won at the Bernabeu this season, which I did forget about, to be fair. However, I don't think that changes anything. I still think Real Madrid will win. They beat Manchester City on an aggregate score of 6-3 last season. Mbappe scored a hat-trick in the second leg. Erling Haaland got a couple of goals in the first leg. Mbappe scored 4 goals across the tie. And I'm telling you, people, Kylian Mbappe, Champions League top goal scorer this season, he will be back in this game. And he is going to score against Manchester City, and he's going to score a couple of goals, at least. Atalanta, Bayern Munich. Could this be a clean sweep of home victories on this side of the draw? Can Atalanta do it? Or will they let me down? Look, as for Atalanta, they've lost out on their top attacking talent, in my opinion, in Ademola Lookman. They're the only Italian side left in the competition, which, it's not great. It's not great for Italian football. I think they've been let down this season. Obviously, AC Milan weren't even involved in Europe. You've got Inter Milan, who have just lost to Bodo Glimt. Atalanta just about got through against Borussia Dortmund. So yeah, it's not particularly great. I don't think I don't think Napoli even made it to the playoffs. I think they just straight up got eliminated. Yeah, they did. They just straight up got eliminated in the league phase. So, Atalanta, no pressure, lads, but you're playing for Italian football. However, I think the quality of Bayern shines through here. I'm going to be honest. I think players like Harry Kane and Michael Olise, Serge Gnabry, they're all going to step up here and show the levels. So yeah, I think Bayern will qualify to the next round. As for the other side of the draw, Newcastle versus Barcelona. As I said, Barcelona are obviously going into this one as favourites, I think, but we can't rule Newcastle out. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. Newcastle score the opening goal in the tie, but Barcelona come back and win the first leg 2-1. I feel like Anthony Gordon's got a say in that game. Marcus Rashford has a say in that game. And Jules Koundé has a say in that game. And then you've got the second leg, where I just think Barcelona are going to smash them. I'll be so honest. So Anthony Gordon's going to give the Geordie fans a little bit of hope. But Barcelona are going to give them a reality check. So I think Barcelona are going to qualify to the next round. And that's not me being, well, that's not deliberate stick towards Newcastle. I think in the Champions League, they've actually been quite impressive. Players like Anthony Gordon, as I've said, only Kylian Mbappe's got more goals than him in the Champions League. However, I think they need to focus on qualifying for Europe next season. And I think after this game, they're going to have the opportunity to focus on that. I think they're still in the FA Cup. I think. I could be wrong. Oh, yeah, I think they've got Man City, actually. So I think it'll take a miracle for Newcastle to win at the Etihad. They've not got a good record there. They're out of the League Cup. And I don't think they're going to be Barcelona. So in a few weeks' time, Newcastle fans, it might be just the Premier League, which will give you a good focus on qualifying for Europe, making sure you're in it next season. And then we have got Atletico Madrid Tottenham. I'm not going to bother even justifying my prediction. Atletico Madrid are through. Yeah, let's pretend that's even there. That's better. We don't like the top Spur, people. We don't like the top Spur. It's the history of the Tottenham. Oh, Bodo Glimt Sporting. Can Bodo Glimt continue this incredible run in the Champions League so far this season? Or are Sporting going to crush their dreams? As for Sporting, obviously they lost Victor Gyökeres, one of the best goal-scoring strikers in Europe last season. In fact, I think he was the best goal-scoring striker in terms of the amount of goals he scored. And they went and replaced him with Luis Suarez, who I believe is a Colombian international. And although his goal-scoring numbers aren't as good as Victor Gyökeres's were, I don't think you're going to find a striker with as good goal-scoring numbers as Gyökeres. However, he still scored a lot of goals for Sporting this season. In Liga Portugal, 20 goals in 22 games. In the Champions League, 4 goals in 8 games. So this Luis Suarez guy, they've clearly replaced Gyökeres quite well. And is Luis Suarez going to be another striker who they bring in on a good deal and sell on for about £60 million in a couple of years? Because I think Luis Suarez could go down the same route as Gyökeres. With the amount of goals he's scoring, 37 games for Sporting, 27 goals scored. As I said, you're not going to find a striker who will produce Gyökeres numbers in that league. But he's doing a good job. Luis Suarez. He's doing a good job. How many have been penalties? 2 of his goals have been penalties. Obviously, Gyökeres. A lot of his goals were penalties last season. And the season before, of course. But they've clearly found a goal-scoring machine. Luis Suarez was at Watford a few years ago. Never played a game for them, but did sign for Watford in 2017, so 9 years ago. So fair play to Luis Suarez. I remember seeing him in FIFA going, there's an imposter. But fair play. You're doing your job well, mate. So, Bodo Glimt versus Luis Suarez. I'm joking. Sporting are a good team. They've got some good players. They beat us in the Europa League a few years ago. However, let's look at last season. A little bit more recent. And yes, they got battered. I'm going to give it to Sporting, I think. Bodo Glimt has been on an unbelievable run this season in the Champions League. 5 wins in a row. 5 Champions League wins in a row. That's what's got them to this stage in the first place. Are they the furthest Norwegian side to get this far? Possibly. Yes, he did. He did play for the Almera in La Liga Dos. La Liga 2. Do you like my Spanish there? I got 3 in GCSE. No, I got 2 in GCSE Spanish. Cheers, sir. And then we've got by Leverkusen Arsenal. I think the quality that we've got will outshine the quality that they've got. So Arsenal proceed in that one. So that then makes it PSG, who are the home side, up against Galatasaray, who are the away side. Then it's Real Madrid, who'll play the first leg at home, versus Bayern Munich. Then we have got Barcelona, who will play the first leg at home against Atletico Madrid. And the final tie of the quarterfinals will be Sporting, who start the first leg of the tie at home, up against Arsenal. So just a reminder, PSG versus Galatasaray, Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich, which I think is going to be tie of the round. Barcelona against Atletico Madrid. Sporting up against Arsenal. Sporting up against Arsenal. Now let's start with PSG versus Galatasaray. PSG for the second year running, not making it into the top 8. However, obviously last season they won it, so it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Then you've got Galatasaray, who started off positively, ended the league phase, not as great as they would have wanted to, but then obviously progressed through the playoff stage. I think the quality that Paris Saint-Germain have got, I think PSG are the better team. I'm going to be honest. So I think it will be PSG that make it through to the semi-final. PSG. Boom. PSG are in the semi-final. PSG. That leaves us with Real Madrid up against Bayern Munich. And as I said, people, this is going to be the best tie of the quarterfinal. In fact, it's going to be so good, I'm drawing a blue box around it because it's going to be that entertaining. I think this two-legged tie is going to be good. I think it's got goals in it. I think we're going to see the best stars in this competition thrive. I think we're going to see some top attacking football. I think we're going to see some great phases of play. I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm really looking forward to it. If you can't tell, I really hope this one happens. I really hope this one happens. Real Madrid up against Bayern Munich. It's a really tough one to call. It's a really tough one to call. As I said with Real Madrid Man City, this is a flick of a coin. Flicks, welcome to the chat, Flicks. I hope you're all right. Cheers for coming on. Cheers for coming on. I hope your day is going well. I hope your day is going well. Sorry, mate. I predicted Liverpool to lose to Galatasaray across the two legs. But look, I think Liverpool need to focus on getting into the Champions League for next season, if anything. Obviously, they could do that if they win the Champions League this season, but I don't think it's going to happen. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. I'm going to call it. Bayern Munich are going to go through. I genuinely think that Bayern Munich are going to go through. And they will play PSG. Wow, this side of the bracket is full of top. This side of the bracket is just full of good clubs. It's full of top clubs. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Hope you've had a good week. Happy Friday. Luca is returning on the 22nd of March, Carabao Cup final. He's going to be fuming if they lose. I mean, if he's going to be fuming, then I'm going to be happy because it is some top comedic shows. He's so funny because he just overreacts. He overreacts to the smallest of things. And I'm sure, look, if Arsenal lose the Carabao Cup final, every Arsenal fan is going to go mental. They're either going to go really, really angry and going to go deep in on the team, or that I think if Arsenal win, Arsenal need to win that cup final, and it's going to be a separate. I might do a live stream next week or closer to the cup final, talking about how important it is. But it is really important, that cup final. It is really important because it's been so long since Arsenal won a trophy, and I think once we do, it will just feel like pure relief. And if it's the cup, Carabao Cup, it's the Carabao Cup. Trophy's a trophy. We need to see it. We need to see Arsenal lift the trophy. So yeah, he does overreact. He says it's not clickbait when it is. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I actually don't think Luca believes half the stuff he says, but there you go. He made a burner account called Arsenal Bottle Job Sack Arteta and went on Josh's stream putting false information in the chat. That does sound like something he'd do, but as I said, I actually don't think he believes half the stuff he says. And that's evident through the fact that he deleted all his videos. Anyway, Where were we? Arsenal under 21s 0. Ipswich Town under 21s 1. Where were we? Barcelona versus Atletico Madrid. Barcelona versus Atletico Madrid. Now, if you look at it, this season, I actually think Atletico Madrid have been I actually think they've been better when it comes to head-to-head record this season. They've played each other twice. They've won one each. Barcelona won the first game 3-1. Then Atletico Madrid in the Copa del Rey semi-final won 4-0 in the first leg. 4-0 by half-time. So this is a really, really tough one to call. This is a tough one to call. Look, if Luca's got a girlfriend here, he's got a girlfriend, right? Fair play to him. Fair play to him. You guys are hilarious. I'm not going to get that comment up on the stream because, yeah, I'm not. But I'm going to be honest. I keep getting distracted. I'm going to be honest. Barcelona, I think, are going to go through. I'm going to call it there. Barcelona are going to go through. And they will be playing in the semi-final up against one of Sporting or Arsenal. And let's be honest. All you got to do is look at last season. See what Arsenal can do. Not just in quarterfinals, but against Sporting. We battered them last season. Absolutely battered them last season. And I think across an aggregate scoreline over 2 legs, it could look very similar for Sporting. Which then leaves the semi-finals. Let me make it a little bit easier for you people to see. That doesn't really help black on blue, but semi-final, PSG versus Bayern Munich. Arsenal against Barcelona. Interesting semi-finals. PSG against Bayern Munich. As I've said with all the ties on that side of the draw, this is going to be a very entertaining game. This is going to be a very entertaining game. It's going to be a very entertaining tie. We get 2 games of each tie, which is the most exciting thing. I think the Champions League is the best club competition in the world. Disagree with me if you want, but it is. And I really want to see Arsenal win it because it brings very, very good moments. For Arsenal last season, it brought the Declan Rice free kicks. It brought the PSV absolute demolished job. You know, for previous clubs, it's brought Manchester City joy in that Rodri final. You know, how many bicycle kicks and unbelievable goals have Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi shared in this competition. I want to see Arsenal put on that trophy. I want to see Arsenal have one of these moments where we can actually lift the trophy. Because we've seen so many special moments happen in this competition. And I want to see Arsenal produce the next one. Flicks, I really appreciate that, by the way. I really do. Genuinely, thank you very much. If feel free to share the channel out if you want, people. Thank you. If you do, Yeah, I do appreciate that. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Where were we? Where were we, people? PSG versus Bayern Munich. The reigning champions up against one of the best teams in the world in Bayern Munich. I genuinely think that. I genuinely think Bayern on their day are one of the best teams in the world. I don't think their day was against us. At the Emirates, obviously we beat them 3-1. But if you look at their Bundesliga record, if you look at the rest of their Champions League games, they've looked really positive. What about an all-guard bicycle kick to send us to the final? That would be good, especially if it's from zone 14, 30 yards out. Yeah, that would be great. Corner in the last minute. It's Christian Norgard against Barcelona. Bicycle kick. Or an Olivier Giroud scorpion kick. That would be incredible. That would be incredible. However, in this tie, PSG against Bayern Munich, I reckon Bayern do it, I reckon Bayern actually do it. I reckon Bayern make the final. And then we will obviously make them the... Oh, no, we're the home team in the final, aren't we? Arsenal would be the home team if we make it. Sorry, I've just spoiled my prediction. I'll just put it out there. Arsenal are beating Barcelona. Is there an element of bias in there? Probably yes. Is there an element of bias against these lot? No. Is there an element of bias against Chelsea losing to PSG? No. Is there an element of bias for Manchester City's losing to Real Madrid? No. I genuinely believe that. Do I genuinely believe Arsenal will be playing Barcelona in the final? No, because they can't. Do I think Arsenal will be playing Bayern Munich in the final? Yes. And this is the perfect opportunity to finish that script. We did it. We did it in the league phase. Won 8 out of 8 games. Finished top of the league phase table. Beat Bayern Munich, who have broken our hearts so many times over the years. So many times over the years. Let me do something, people. Give me 2 seconds. Let me just make this a little bit better. We have got Arsenal up against Bayern Munich in my final predictions. Who's going to win, you may ask? Let me just make this a little bit better. There we go. Sorry, people, we're back. Oh, you're having a laugh. Oh, they're too big. That's what she said. That should do. We put them there. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Barcelona are not involved. Why do I keep calling Bayern Barcelona? Arsenal against Bayern Munich in Hungary, Budapest. 2026 Champions League final. Arsenal have got the chance to finish the script, rewrite all the wrongs that Bayern Munich have caused over the years. The 10-2, the 3-2 on aggregate, 1-0 at the Allianz just a few years ago. The other 5-1, which we won't talk about. The amount of times these lot have come to the Emirates and just slapped us up. We need to beat these lot. This is my Champions League final prediction. And I actually think ChatGPT predicted the same, funnily enough. I actually think ChatGPT predicted the same. Let's ask them right now. Who will win the Champions League this season? There you go, people. I'm not going to share my screen. Or can I? Yeah, I can. The top contenders for the Champions League. Arsenal. Most predictions model and betting markets have the Gunners as the leading favourites to win the Champions League this season. They top the league stage and have a convincing path in the bracket. So they all think. ChatGPT thinks Arsenal will win it. The media thinks we'll win it. The betting man thinks we'll win it. I hate predicting stuff like this because I hate the pressure. I hate the pressure of me predicting Arsenal to win something and then they bottle it. Because, yeah, we've seen Arsenal come short so many times over the years. Either way, I am predicting us to make the final, and we will be wearing red and white if we do against Bayern Munich, which would be huge. It means we're in our home strip, in the home changing rooms, which are obviously better than the away changing rooms in any football ground. And Bayern Munich cannot wear their home strip, of course. Please, Arsenal, go and win the Champions League. I'm going to end it there, people. I'm going to end it there. Obviously, Arsenal are going to win the Champions League. Right. Thank you all very much for tuning into this stream. I'm going to cut it there. Arsenal have got Chelsea this weekend. Expect a match reaction from me. And until then, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you all very much for tuning in. And Logan, thank you very much for the kind words. Actually, before we go, let's check out the subscriber goal. Here we go. The 14th canon. 84 subscribers. 84. Remember, people, we are going for 100 by the end of the season. Make it happen, people. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.